Hello, Peekers. Welcome back. I'm Miranda.
And I'm Mackenzie. And this is your one-stop shop for storytelling.
Tea spilling.
And to keep up with the latest book talk drama you have been missing out on.
All right, life updates real quick. Anything to share, Mackenzie?
I think that the only thing that I have to share actually is, so I work at a hospital, will remain unnamed for anonymity purposes, obviously. But anyway, I'm doing an internal travel contract as a nurse. And for the summer, basically every 3 to 6 months, they change the unit that I'm on. And now I will be working in a clinic. And so I'll have a set schedule and no weekends, no holidays this summer. So you guys better get ready because you're about to see me a lot on TikTok. Follow us on TikTok, plot.peak. Thank you.
Yeah, you're going to be on the next level. You're going to really elevate everything. I feel like having a perfect work-life balance is really elite whenever you have a side hustle.
It really is. I feel like my mental health is going to be so much better. And like just planning my week, planning meal prepping, planning out my workouts, planning podcast time, planning social life time will be so much more routine. I'll be able to just do what I need to do to make things just run a lot smoother. But what about you? Do you have any life updates?
Yeah, my mom and my sister just came down and visit me here in Chicago. And I came Chicago. But we had terrible weather one day. So we went to this Wonder Museum, and then we had like 3 hours before we had like a really nice restaurant reservation to go to. And we sat in the car for 3 hours because we didn't want to walk around in the rain. So that was fun.
I can see your mom being like, absolutely not. We're not doing this. Sorry.
She was thriving though. No.
Was she?
It was me.
That's so cute.
No, because I'm the one who wants to be doing things. The whole time I was like, gosh, I need to be entertaining them. They just came out here. I need to entertain them. And they were just like, I'm fine.
Oh, but your mom's so cute though. I bet she was just like, it's fine.
Yeah, she's like, this is what I do at home. I'm having a great time.
She said.
All right, so today we are going to be covering chapters 1 through 10 of Sarah J. Maas's Crown of Midnight. And as a reminder, we will be storytelling what's happening. So if you have not read and you do not want spoilers, you have been warned. But if you're here for a little fun tea time, gather around. Quick refresher of where Throne of Glass ended. After Celaena almost died by Cain during the final competition, she was deemed the king's champion. Celaena also ended things with Dorian shortly after he admitted to himself that he was in love with her. Nehemiah saved her life with magic now 2 times. Chaol killed Cain, which was his very first kill. Duke Parrington set up Lady Caltaine and framed her for poisoning Celaena. She is now in the royal dungeons. And the biggest plot twist for me, and we found this from his point of view, is that we learned that the king is very well versed in these word markings, and he has been experimenting on how much control he can take over people with his black rings that he and Duke Parrington both have. Anything to add, Mackenzie?
Yeah, that's so crazy. When I was reading Throne of Glass for the first time, I barely picked up on the black rings. And then when I was rereading it, obviously, I think when I was first reading it, I was like, oh my God, I gotta keep going. Like, I was so invested in the story that I didn't pick up on these little details. But I feel like you've done a really good job picking up on like a lot of the little details.
Really?
Cain having a black ring, Duke Parrington having a black ring, the king having a black ring, and just like putting all these little pieces together that I don't feel like I put together initially. But yeah, very scary, very crazy. The king is very
scary. Yeah, no, I think the only reason why I did pick up on it is because I am annotating as I go. But also they repeated it like 3 times. So I was like, this has to mean something. And we talk about it more going forward.
Maybe I'm just an idiot.
You might be. You might be. But that's what this show is all for, is the idiots talking to the masses, you know? It's just great entertainment hearing somebody dumb talk. You know what I mean? All right, maybe that's too much.
Period.
Yes.
So funny and relatable. So silly girls.
All right, so let's get into
I just know this recording is going to be absolutely a tragic. We're going to be like, all of our words are going to be like this on top of each other, but it's fine.
It'll be fine. It's not, it's fine. We'll see how it happens.
In case anyone's wondering, the delay for the remote recording is atrocious. So just know that a lot of editing has come about for this episode to sound how it currently does. So you're welcome.
Yes, be appreciative. I'm just kidding. You don't have to be. Obviously, that's like your own interpretation of what you want to appreciate. I'm not trying to push that on you. Okay, let's go ahead and get into this story time. So, when we start the story, we learn that Celaena gets sent off to the king's missions, being the king's champion. And as she's sent off on these missions, she's being Celaena, meaning she's obviously very distrustful of the king, so she's not going to just straight up kill the targets when she meets them. She gives them an option. She tells them, hey, listen, I was sent here by the king, so you can either fight and die, or you can give me your royal signet and then flee the country and drop your name, and nobody will ever hear from you ever again. Am I right? And she's like, I'm going to get these dead bodies from the sick houses so that way by the time I get home to the glass castle, they'll be decomposed enough that nobody can really tell that it's not the real person. And she's usually like a couple weeks away, so that gives her more than enough time to have these things decay. But when she returns from her latest mission, Dorian and Chaol are trying their best to be chill about this whole situation with her job having to kill people. They're uncomfy, and it definitely doesn't help whenever she comes back to the castle with the heads of the king's victims, and she throws them on the floor in front of the king. And they're just like, interesting. Okay, so she's doing it.
I feel like how we talked about in the last, or maybe it was the episode before, how Chaol is like the stressed mother hen. I can just only imagine the thoughts that were actually going through his head whenever she throws the head on the floor, like, oh God, oh God, oh God, this is happening. This is happening. She's an assassin. This is real. I just know he's like internally panicking. And honestly, it kind of describes Dorian as like little surprise, but like, Celaena, that's a girl. She's doing what she's got to do.
Yeah, I love the contrast because Chaol really does like. I can tell that Chaol likes her, and we get into this in this part of the book too. So, but he obviously likes Celaena, but he's just like, gosh, I can't believe she's actually killing these people. Like she's actually got to people and bring them back.
Well, and also like he is the king's royal guard and is not a fan of killing. He's very. I feel like he's not as much of like the macho, like
yes,
almost like Kane-esque type guard that you would see, like very like authoritarian, we're in charge, we get shit done, like type thing. He's more of like black and white, this is right and wrong, like regardless, which is crazy because he's still also following the king who's massacred all these people. Like you think the king is the one authorizing this. Yes, she's doing it, but also like the person that you're serving is authorizing all of this, and yet you're kind of stressed out that the girl you're interested in is doing it. I don't know.
I'm surprised that Chaol hasn't had to get his hands more dirty than he has. Like he hasn't even had a first kill until Kane went down. So I'm like, what is his role as the royal guard anyways? Because the king is definitely doing some messed up stuff. And I would assume that the captain of the royal guard would be the first person to be doing a lot of these things.
You would think, but he's acting like he's never got his freaking hands dirty in his life, Mr. Pristine, right and wrong, black and white. Like, chill. You're serving the most like sadistic massacre in the kingdom. Like, can't get mad at his assassin, his hired assassin that you chose to fall for or that you happened to fall for.
So when Celaena gets back from her latest mission, the king gives her the next assignment for a guy who's, quote, interfering with his plans. The target ends up being someone Celaena grew up with, and it's someone within the city, which isn't the greatest thing for her because it's going to make faking his death that much harder. And the target's name is Archer. And he used to train with Aderlin's assassin when they were growing up. He's actually grown up to become one of the most famous and like well-wanted male courtesans. And before we get too far into this, I want to describe Archer because what we read in the book is he's literally one of the most beautiful, sexy, like juiciest men you'll ever see. And when I imagine Archer, first thought that it comes into my head is Chris Evans, who plays Captain America. But in a more realistic world, I think it's actually Sam Claflin, the guy who plays Finnick in the Hunger Games.
Oh my gosh. I love the Finnick from Hunger Games description. I never really put it together. Like, you know how when, I don't know what kind of reader you are, but I do imagine faces, but not that well. I'm not that imaginative or descriptive of a reader. But when you put Finnick in Archer's position,
it's him.
That is
It's
spot on.
him.
That
It's
is
him.
tea. And Finnick, actually, I think that Finnick, I would probably like lick the ground he walked on. I don't know.
I'm obsessed. Yeah, no, like Finnick for me is like an alternative attractive man. Like he is like Captain America, that's like a man to me. But Finnick is like a more feminine, sexy man to me, if that makes sense. And that's how I imagine Archer.
Yeah. He's not like very concerned about like social appearances. Like he's just a flirt at heart. He'll
Yeah.
flirt with whoever he needs to get to, and he knows he's literally hot. He
Yeah. He
knows that
knows
he
it.
is everybody's
It's
dream
true.
guy.
It's true. So after that meeting, Celaena and Chaol are hanging out as usual. Actually, while we're on it, let's go ahead and talk about what everybody's thinking at this point. Celaena and Chaol have a lot of sexual tension building during this time. Am I right, or am I just trying to assume things?
No, it definitely talks about them giving like the kind of sidelong glances, the Selena noticing him in his captain's
Shirts.
outfit and
Yeah.
him noticing the way he's struggling like with how she's an assassin but all of his feelings are developing and how can he come to terms with it. It's very much building up this like you said, very sexual
Sexual
tension.
tension, yes. Dorian sees it. I see it. Celaena feels it. And Kale's trying to deny it. Anyways, we see the two of them. They're continuing their usual routine of working out and eating, spending good quality time together. So when Selena's researching in Kale's room, it's not really much of a surprise. But she's researching Archer and his routines and his locations that he frequently visits. And then she notices that Archer's house is actually pretty close to where Farron is at. So she asks Chaol, she's like, do you know much about Farron? And that's when Chaol spills some tea. He's like, oh, yeah, I've heard about Farron. He's actually dead. And he goes on, he's like, someone from Adelaide's assassin had killed Farron last year, and rumor has it, Arabin ordered that assassin who did it to be spiked on the front gates of Farron's estate, making things even for when the next crime lord comes to rise to his position. And that's not all. Chaol ends up dropping the tea, and he tells her the assassin who killed Farron was Wesley, Arabin's personal bodyguard, the same man who tried to stop Celaena from sneaking out that night she got captured.
For those of you that didn't read Assassin's Blade, I'm sure most of you have caught up with the episodes. For those of you that haven't, Wesley was very much like, Arabin's personal not bodyguard, but like he was in the Assassin's Guild and he was basically up Arabin's ass the entire time. And as Celaena was leaving to go kill this crime lord that she assumed killed Sam, she was intercepted by Wesley.
Mm-hmm.
And Wesley was like, wait, don't you know this is a ... And she knocked him out. But to find out that Wesley killed Farron is a lot of tea.
No,
though, because like, why did he feel the need to kill Farron? He's never shown any loyalty to Celaena. He's never shown any loyalty to Sam other than just like basic friends at the guild, but they were not really even friends.
No, yeah. I even remember her saying, like, I'm pretty sure Wesley wouldn't think twice about killing me if I overstepped my lines against Arabin. Like, she did not feel like he was on her side in the slightest bit. So finding this out was definitely like, that's tea, because why? Do we find that out?
Maybe.
All right, so Celaena gets a little real with Chaol after like bringing up this conversation of Farron. She tells him about Sam and the night he died by Farron and how she got set up, how she thinks it was Arabin, and Chaol tells her why he hates Roland. So let's pause real quick. Kenzie, can you explain who Roland is and what did he do to our baby Chaol?
Oh, yes, Roland. So basically, Chaol goes into a little story about how Chaol had this girl that he was very much fancying. He fancied her, and they were kind of courting, kind of not. But I feel like Chaol, from what we've seen, once he gets feelings from someone, even like Celaena, he doesn't just turn him off. He's not getting feelings for everybody. But so he has feelings for this girl. And Roland is Dorian Havilard's cousin. And Roland comes in at this time. This was like a couple years ago before Celaena. He rolls in and decides that he thinks it would be funny, like a funny little joke on Chaol, to have him walk in while he is doing some naughty things with this girl that Chaol liked. And so Chaol happens to walk in and see Roland this little douche magoosh fucking the girl that he likes. I don't know where that came from, but it just felt right.
I think that's a really good way to describe him, douche magoosh. Should we just call him that for the rest of the time or what?
Roland equals douche magoosh. Yes, I feel that's right.
Okay, I feel that's right as well. So anyways, long story short is the vibes of Roland is he's shady and we are keeping our eyes on him. But after that late night talking sesh with Celaena and Chaol in his room, Celaena decides, she's like, you know what? I need some fun reading. I need to get out and I just need to read for fun. So I'm going to go make my way down to the royal libraries. And I'm just so excited to see what fun book I'll find until she turns a corner and she finds that fun is definitely not waiting for her. There's some person that's waiting for her, like not waiting for her, but at the end of this hall, he's in like this dark cloak and he turns at her sound and it's giving weird animalistic vibes, sniffing at her in a predatory way. Her necklace from Elena starts to glow, making the creature run at the sight of it. And so does Celaena. Celaena runs in the opposite direction, actually, back to her room.
I would too. After all the shady stuff with the word marks, all those champions dying, yes, we know it was Cain, but I think Celaena knows that Cain was not just doing this out of his own, like, volition to get all the champions out. Any sign of trouble, I would be like, I think I'm gonna head out.
She's like, you know what?
I'm gonna head out. That SpongeBob meme where he gets up, he's like, I'm gonna head out.
That's literally her. She does that all the time too, I feel like she's like, oh, okay, well, I've seen what I needed to see and I think I have got enough and I'm gonna head on out.
Honestly though, I respect her for that. She's
real.
not one of those female main characters that I feel like Celaena will do some dumb things. I'll give her that. But also at the same time, like she was trying to find out about the word marks, but she wasn't always like, let me walk into this dark corridor and see what happens. She's kind of real. She's like, I'll explore, but at the first sign of danger,
She's like, if I know this battle is something I shouldn't be a part of, then I will tap out when I need to. And I respect that as well.
I also feel like Celaena is kind of like that with the supernatural stuff. I feel like she doesn't really fear people. Like she's never really like, ugh, this guy looks like he could take me.
No,
but the supernatural, magic-esque like stuff, she's like, this
she's
is
like,
not for me. Which I feel like that feels healthy.
No,
that feels real.
It's a good balance. You do need that realistic part of the characters in the story because it's like, as much as I love a strong female lead, I also want somebody that I could relate to. And Celaena running from something spooky at the end of the hallway in the dark, that's me. I would be running away as well.
Me too.
So after that whole encounter, Celaena makes her way back to Elena's tomb. And this is the first time she's back there since the Champions tournament. And she goes down there basically to see if there's any answers, if Elena can give her any answers of what the hell that thing was. And now let's enter Mort. Mort is literally a door knocker. He's very sassy. He tells her that he's been here this whole time. He's like, I could have talked to you, but I just was letting you get adjusted to all the weird things before I started to talk.
So she goes to knock on the door to Elena's tomb, and he's like, hello. And she almost like pees herself. He's like, hey, I'm Mort. And it's literally, so the way Sarah J. Maas, like I've seen pictures of how she imagined Mort, like a door knocker with kind of like a face on it, but like, you know, it's got the little knock, knock, knock part on it, and then the actual face. And the face is talking to her. This like metal gold face is talking to her, and she's seen it multiple times but never really, you know,
animated
just to see it.
Yeah.
And this little bitch is like, hey, what's up? I would shit myself.
No, he's like, hey. That's so funny. He really did just say, he's like, hey, what's up?
How y'all doing?
How y'all doing? But no, and even still, like after like he introduces himself and he's like, yeah, I'm Mort. I was just like letting you get accustomed. He's being rude to her and he's trying not to answer any of her questions because she's like, okay, cool. So you're a talking door knocker. Do you know where Elena is? Blah, blah, blah. He's like, never heard of her. I don't know what you're talking about. He's playing dumb, basically.
I feel like he's low-key gaslighting her.
No, he is. He's so fake. Like he's funny, but he's fake.
I would be like, that's it. I'm going to melt you off this. I think at one point she does say, I'm going to melt you off this door if you don't tell me what you know.
I would probably go into abusive mode and grab the knocker and be like, tell me what's going on.
You 100% would go into abusive mode. You would go get your toolkit and try to take him apart.
I have to threaten people to get the things that I need. You know what I mean? So it's like, if it's just a door knocker, I got to do what I can. Eventually, though, he's like, just kidding. I know who you're asking about. She did leave you a message. And Mort tells her that Elena actually told him before she left away to whatever land she's in right now. She was like, tell her that I just don't have the strength to summon myself here right now. But Celaena needs to find and stop whatever the king's plans are. Celaena has had enough about this destiny stuff that everybody's talking about. She is tired of everybody pushing this into her face, and she's like, I'm literally just a girl. I have no powers, no army, no freedom. Why the fuck is everyone telling me that I'm here to save the world?
I don't even know what I would do. I would be like,
Like, what do you want?
thank you, but
No,
no,
thank you.
thank you.
You're like, do you see me? I literally can't even do anything. I'm just an assassin. Like, I don't know what you expect out of me.
But she is also not telling anyone that she's not killing the rebels and the people that are going against the king. So I feel like low key in her heart, she's like, I'm doing my part. I've done what I can do.
I feel like in this point, because we don't know why everybody's coming to her, I'd be like, why are you coming to me? I don't know what you want from me. I can literally only kill people. Like, I don't know why you're coming to me with all these issues. But anyways, the next day, Celaena and Chaol stage an accidental run-in with Archer, one that was supposed to be just an act. For Celaena to bat her eyes and just to get a arranged meeting with Archer to find out how he, of all people, were interfering with the king's plans. But Chaol isn't stupid. He can see it's not all an act. Actually, he can see how attractive Archer is, and it makes him a little bit jealous, if we're being honest. And in his POV, he's even like, calm down. She's literally going to be killing him at the end of the month. Chill out.
He is like the king of denial. He's like, it's fine. She likes him. I don't like her or anything, but I'm glad he's going to die. She's not even his partner. He's like, I don't want to date her. I'm not interested in her. But anyone that she likes, I do hope that they die.
Period. So in Celaena's POV, though, whenever they run into Archer, she notices that Archer has only gotten more attractive since the last time they saw each other. And this has been making it really easy for her to play into her flirtation. She snags a deal with him, and they're going to meet up the next night. They're going to go on a date, a really nice date. And so when she goes out, she's in like a rather risque but super fashionable dress. And she's stunning. But their date is so uncomfy. It's funny because the whole time Archer is like giving her this heavy eye contact and it's making her sweat a bit.
Honestly, if Archer slash, what's his name?
Finnick?
Oh, if Archer slash Finnick from Hunger Games was flirting with me, I'd be like, you know what? One good round, he's gonna die anyway. It's cool. Let's meet me in the back.
What's the harm? Anyway, so they're having a great dinner. They're having a good time. Things are getting really flirty for both of them. Like, Celaena can feel the heat and everything. They get in this carriage ride. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm kind of nervous. Like, what if he's gonna want me to like step up to what I've been putting down at this carriage ride? But they end up having like a really sweet talk about their lives, their futures, their hopes for their futures, what it could be like. It's really, really sweet. And that's when Celaena feels like this would be the perfect time to share that she was sent here by the king to kill him.
I mean, honestly, I think there was no good way to lead up into that. I think she did what she needed to do and was like, I'm going to flirt. I'm going to have a good time. Let him, ruffle my feathers a little bit. By the way, I need to kill you.
You're like, don't freak out, but I am here to assassinate you.
Dinner was so good, though. Thank you so much.
That's so funny. Okay. But before we finish up the story time, we do have some side plot updates. First, Lady Celaena. We know that she's still in the royal dungeons, and the tea is that Celaena went down to see if she was willing to spill any tea on the king's plan that everybody is warning her to stop. Lady Celaena, unfortunately, is quite pitiful, and she might be a little bit crazy. I'm not too sure. She tells her, she's like, I can only see in fragments right now, and these crow's wings are just way too loud. She's in the basement, so I'm not sure what she's hearing down there. And then she does spill a little tea saying that Duke Parrington, when he does come to visit her, it's usually not for pleasantries.
That is actually so disgusting, though, the fact that He manipulated her into poisoning her, like poisoning Celaena, and then manipulated everyone around to be like, oh, well, she did it. That's crazy. She must be crazy. And obviously, there's something going on with her, like mental status. And he's like, you
Yeah.
know what? I'm going to head down there, have a little fun, and then just go about my life. Like, that is atrocious.
I've never liked Duke Parrington from the literally the very first impression of him. It was just not it. I was like, from him throwing Celaena down on the ground when she was shackled up and super malnourished and everything, to this, the things that I've seen he do firsthand, he sounds worse or equal to the king. Like they seem like they are best friends. They are definitely on each other's same wavelength.
Well, and even at the end of the last book, like them having those conversations about the word marks and about finding out about Celaena, obviously they've got each other's number. Like they are working toward the same goal, whatever that may be.
Yeah, and I feel like I think Parrington's just happy to be here, honestly. He's like, I love this guy and I'm going to do whatever he wants me to do as long as I can sit and have my little money bag over here and my court over here. He's just icky.
He's very disgusting.
Don't
He
like him.
gives me the highest level of ick.
And then we've got Holland. He's returned back home.
Yeah, so that's horrifying for everyone involved.
But on the twist side, though, with his return, they are going to be throwing a lot of festivities, so that's fun.
Yeah, little festivities for the little baby murderer. Love that. Woo!
Okay, and then we've got Dorian and Celaena. Whenever they interact in this book now, it's definitely awkward vibes because Dorian is still a little butthurt that she obviously has feelings for Chaol and she didn't choose him. And I feel like that's just a little awkward to read around, but like it is what it is, you know?
Literally, Celaena and Chaol during this first part of this book, they're both like the most oblivious people. Like, Celaena doesn't realize, I mean, she realizes that Chaol is her friend, but she doesn't realize that she has feelings for him or is not admitting it. And Chaol knows that Celaena is his friend, but he has all these issues with her occupation and he thinks that he doesn't have any feelings for her, but he wants anyone that's around her to die. Like, they're the two most oblivious people to what everyone can see is going on.
Would you consider them a miscommunication trope, or are they something else? What kind of trope are they?
I almost think enemies to lovers.
But I feel like they
On
were never
Chaol's side.
enemies. I feel like Chaol was just like, I'm here doing my job.
I don't know. Chaol was kind of a dick. He was like, you're trash. You're an assassin. Why would I ever speak to you?
He was kind of, but he wasn't as much of a dick as the other guys are. Like the other guards were. The other guards were really mean to Celaena, but Chaol was like, please just stop talking to me. I don't want to talk to you. Like in a nice way, you know? Maybe it's just me. Maybe that's just my type. I like somebody who's a little mean to me.
Maybe. I don't know. There were some times where I feel like Chaol was kind of a dick, but not very long. It didn't take long for him to warm up to her. I don't know if they're like a specific trope. Audience, what do you think? What trope would you give Celaena and Chaol from Throne of Glass to
Crown of Midnight?
Queen to Crown of Midnight.
Yeah. Then we have Celaena is kind of low-key annoyed with Chaol being so concerned about her safety. He's like, I'm just so worried about you. And she's like, please pause real quick. Do you remember that I'm a boss bitch and I can handle myself? Like, you can just mind your business.
I'm sorry. Do you remember the head that I brought into the castle? Did you see it roll toward you? I don't know if you remember, but I did that. So why don't you just shut your mouth?
She's like, please stop caring about me so much. That could never be me. And then lastly, I just want to go ahead and say I like Archer. He seems really interesting. And it's funny how uncomfy he makes Celaena. Like, he makes everybody uncomfy with just how beautiful he is. And I think that he's going to be a very interesting dynamic to enter with everybody around.
Wait, one thing we didn't talk about Archer too is that he's actually a courtesan and he is employed by Madame Clarice, the same person that Lysandra in Assassin's Blade is employed by. So I feel like that's almost not his profession, but definitely one of his talents is like
being flirty,
influencing people to like him, using his beauty as a show, being flirty, knowing how to manipulate the crowd. But no, when I'm reading this, also got butterflies for Archer.
I got so uncomfortable. I was like, oh my gosh, he's making me nervous. Like, I'm so scared to be around him right now. If you don't already follow our Instagram, we have opened up our email for you guys, and we want you to submit to us your bookish battles, aka just crazy stories that you feel like should be in a book. And we want you to email that to us. So if you're interested, follow us on our Instagram. You can find our email and then you can submit to us. And then after we have a certain amount of people submitting, we will read one of your stories for the peekers. But yeah, do you have anything to say on that topic?
Oh my gosh, we would love to read your stories. It doesn't have to be crazy, but if there was a story in your life where, like, God, this is so weird that this happened to me, or even a friend, like, you can submit it anonymously without using names or change the names or whatever. Like, if you know of a story from you or a friend or someone you know, send it to our email. We would love to read it. Also, on that note, we also have our subscribe option. We're considering doing Patreon here in the future where we give you more content and things like that, but we currently don't have enough incentive to do it, enough followers, but we would love to give you more content in the future. We don't have many followers, guys, so please come on down, come on in, bring your friends, have a glass of wine, join us. You can choose the amount you want to donate. I think it starts at like $1 a month or something. Anything would be appreciated for us to help be able to make you more content, make this a little bit more of a job for us so that we can give you so much more content that we're giving you now. If you do subscribe, we will be giving you a shout out on the next episode. We can use your name. We can use your anonymous name. We can use that girl who subscribed, that guy who subscribed, and we would appreciate you forever.
Okay, Peekers. So that is the end of this week's plot. Next week, come back as we take a peek at Sarah J. Maas's Crown of Midnight, chapters 11 through 19.
Be sure to follow us on TikTok and Instagram at plot.peak for both, and for all things plot peak memes and all the crazy stuff we like to get into. Thank you for listening.
Bye.